games without perks, and okay, let's see the results.
Hello friends, this is Odds, according
This is
to a
Odds.
recent leak posted on 4chan. And a few days ago I made a video
Right, let's see what we got here.
suggesting that items should be nerfed across the board because they have such an impact on how a match goes. It's not something you do in game, it's not your experience or your good plays or your mistakes or how you adapt. It's just something that you decide before the game even begins whether you want to use or not.
I can agree with this too, actually, in a way. Like, do I think they have a nerf or they need a nerf? I don't. For me, it's like whatever for base kit items, you know. Like, this is really just the add-ons that make them better. But I mean, yeah, the items do make somewhat of a difference in playing Survivor and play versus Nimbus Killer. So I will agree with that. Like, do they need a nerf? I don't know. But I will admit, they do impact the games quite frequently. But anyways, keep going.
And if you do use the strongest items in the game, I think your chances to win are much, much higher. I think this is not healthy, but this was just my opinion. What I've been doing since, however, is a bit of an experiment. It's not an incredibly
I don't really have an
scientific
issue with them
or
either.
compelling experiment with a
I think it's mainly
crazy
add-ons for
sample
me.
size, but I still think the results are really interesting. So what I did is I rounded up some of my friends and we played matches and matches of Survivors together, playing together, mostly on comms, sometimes without comms, but mostly playing as Survivor friends with full communication. And we played 50 games. We use 0 perks. We use
Yeah,
0
I don't
offerings,
either.
and we
Unless it's for a
alternated
challenge.
between using 0 items or bringing the strongest items possible. Mostly medkits and toolboxes, sometimes a few other things, but mostly those two. And the results were pretty...
It was good. Oh, hey, Die Zombies, where's the killer? Oh, GGC, man. It was a good blight. Good blight. Ring. Yeah, he was using the ring and the stone. Yeah. Stone is broken. Isn't that the one where you block a pallet when you hit them with, you hit them with the pallet and, you hit them and it blocks the pallet. The dash.
crazy.
Anyway.
Now this is the same group on
GG's,
both
man. Good
sides.
killer.
It's me, it's a bunch of other survivors that on average have like maybe between all of us we have an
Okay.
average of like 5,000 or 6,000 hours. So like
Okay.
we're not the best survivors by any stretch.
We're just
but
looking
we
at
are a
Odd's
strong
new
group of
video.
survivors,
See
right?
what's up.
And this is what happened between the items and the no
GG's,
items
man.
matches. Now let's begin with the items. When we brought the best items and nothing else, we had an average of 3.04 escapes per match, which is really good. If you
Jeez.
consider 3 or 4 escapes a win for survivors, then we won 84% of our matches. With the most
quite a
common
bit.
outcome being a 4-man
Damn.
escape. Very, very good stuff. Very, very strong. And this is despite losing many matches pretty badly. So our average, if we played it perfectly, could have been potentially higher. Then we contrast this with the matches where we played with no items whatsoever. These matches were a lot harder. I still think we played
Okay.
pretty well. We were the same survivors than before, but this time we had an average of 2.56 escapes per match and
Hey,
a win percentage of 56%.
Damn, that's like wow. So with the that's a really massive difference then if like you with items and no perks. This I get what jeez. I never I never realized how big of an impact if you play as Survivor Friends and no perks. If it's like super strong with no perks and you have strong items, like I never realized how big of a difference that could be. So it's quite a bit. And no items, obviously, you know, it's the same thing. I don't remember if I can't remember if you use perks without items, but yeah, no items definitely do change up a bit. I never really noticed with items, like I never pay attention to the items. I'm just like, wow, that's yeah, yeah, that's a big difference. Never really noticed that. Die Zombies, thank you for the follow. I think items are kind of busted, but it's mostly whatever. You don't care enough about it. Yeah, that's the same for me. I said that earlier. Like items for me, like I don't see them. They don't affect me too much. Like they're kind of average. Like I think it's mainly the add-ons for me.
It dropped almost
They're just like super
30%.
strong.
The
Base
most
kit
common
items are like I
outcome
think they're okay.
in this group by a small margin is 2 escapes. So more often than not, when playing when playing without items, we were fighting for a 2-man escape only. Now, if you go to the previous
This
side, to the side with the items,
the
we
septic
never
engine.
had 2-man escapes.
Yeah,
We
that
have a
one
win
can be
percentage
pretty
of
annoying.
84% and a tie percentage of 0%. We never tied.
Septic is pretty
Anytime
strong.
the game was going a little bit well, we won overwhelmingly because we always could finish the gens in time, thanks to toolboxes, and we could always heal each other and take hits for each other and be altruistic and get ourselves out of trouble near the end because of the medkits and or communication, of course. So
Yeah.
the fact that the same
I like this one
survivors
right there.
with the same skill playing pretty much exactly the same can win 84% of the time compared to 56 just because we brought items, that's crazy. And that's not even factoring in the fact that when you use items along with perks, they can get even more ridiculous. And if you use items and perks on top of using map offerings, then your chances should be even higher. That is just really, really crazy to me.
Yeah, I can agree with this too. It's just like, or at least like the way he points out the map offering is just like, yeah, like even like certain maps like with good items, it's like the killer can't do much. Like Mother's Dwelling, for example, if you have like brand new parts on all your toolboxes, without item or without perks, but you have brand new parts on your toolboxes, and you have them like purple or something, you're gonna easily finish that gen pretty quickly. You could get two possibly done before the killer finds you. Maybe at least two, maybe three, but yeah, because Mother Dwelling is like massive. Same as like Mount Ormond possibly, but it's not as big as Mother Dwelling, But yeah,
We almost had 0 situations when using items where we had to be happy with a 2-man escape. We either lost, which is fair, or we almost always got out with 3 or 4 people. And that to me is really, really damning evidence that items really do make a massive, massive difference. Overall, if we put all of the stats together, we had an average escape of 2.8 survivors,
Whew.
a win percentage of 70%, and the most common outcome, if you put us all together, was a 3-man escape. So even though the MMR
Okay.
system is supposedly trying to put us against killers of equal skill, it's not capable for survivors of this caliber to constantly find a killer so good that we have a 50 win rate. So
Yeah.
despite our limitations,
MMR is still a
we
little
still
weird
had
with
a
that.
70% win rate. Some people interpreted this as proof that it's only survivor fans and survivors that is busted. It doesn't matter the items, it doesn't matter the perks, it's just survivor friends. Survivor friends is just too strong. Having a win percentage of 70% just shows that this game is survivor sided. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
did the same thing
Little
for
bit.
Killer, where I played with 0 perks, with 0 add-ons, and with 0 offerings, and I got the exact same win percentage. If you consider 3 kills or 4 kills a win, I got
Okay.
exactly, which is kind of poetic, 70% win rate, playing a number of killers. I
Really?
played all of them at least once. Some of them I enjoy them more, I play them a bit more. And the most common outcome for my killer was 4 kills, which is awesome. My average kills being 3.8. So 3.8 versus 2.8. I think that's pretty good.
That's something actually. The fact that he gets like 4 kills or 3 to 4 kills and like 70% of his matches for like win rate, like using all the killers too. By the way, it's just like that's with what is it without anything? I guess no perks and add-ons. Is that what? No, is it just no add-ons? I guess without add-ons. Or maybe without. I don't remember which one this was, but yeah, it's just like, I know. I find that shocking though because like, there's a lot of good teams out there when you're in the high MMR. Like I don't know what his MMR is because I haven't really watched odds too much. Like I watch highlights of him, but that's it. But I don't really go into his streams too often. But yeah, it's just like his. Yeah, it depends like what survivors you're versing, I guess. Like if you can get like good stuff or like your good map RNG where you have like good gen pressure, you have a good, you're reading, you're in the mindset of what the survivor's gonna do. Like that kind of comes down to that basically. But the fact that you got 70% of matches of win rate, that's pretty good. Pretty good.
Technically, you know, if you count hatch as not,
I don't think
a
I'm
kill
analyzing
or
this
not an
video pretty
escape,
well
these
because I'm
numbers
really not,
would,
in my opinion. But
uh,
yeah,
have a slight variation to them, but not a very big one.
I'm not really that good
So,
at analyzing videos.
Here's a few things that I noticed now that I played as a killer a bunch without perks, without items, playing all the killers a bunch, blah blah blah.
Okay, so without perks.
There's one thing
add-ons.
that killers have going for them that I think explains the difference in MMR between killers and survivors. If you've seen the leaks, you know that killers on average have a much higher MMR than survivors, and I start to understand why a little bit better now. Now, out of all 50 games that I played killer without perks, only one match resulted in 0 kills. That's not to say that I didn't lose often. I did. Many times I lost with 1 kill. But only one time when I was playing Legion, I lost with 0 kills. And even that match, I'm pretty sure that if I had been a little... Yeah, I remember it now. If I had been a little bit less greedy, I could have had at least 1 kill, for sure. Like, that was a guaranteed 1 kill if I wasn't greedy and tried to go for 2 kills or 3 or more, right? So what I'm trying to say here is that if survivors play bad and they play horrible and they mess up horribly, typically that is 0 escapes. If they're lucky, they get the hatch, but the hatch doesn't count as an escape for the MMR. So basically 0 escapes or a tie for that survivor that might get the hatch. So if the survivors mess up a lot, they get 0 escapes. However, as a killer, if you mess up a lot, it's extremely easy to secure at least 1 kill. Extremely easy. All you need to do is be cannibal, or make sure that you hook the one survivor that you catch
just be Leatherface.
far away from the gates. And at that point, whoever comes for the rescue, you hit them, and they cannot. You might not get 3 kills or anything, but you can at least guarantee that one person doesn't get out. So,
Yeah.
Whereas survivors have an average ranging from 0 to 4, killers, if they play it at least a little bit well, just a tiny little bit well, even if they mess up terribly, they have an average ranging from 1 to 4. And I don't think people acknowledge this. It's so easy as a killer, so easy to guarantee at least 1 kill, that your average, really, if you keep that in mind, is actually a lot higher. The matches where you lose badly, you don't lose as badly as survivors do in terms of just raw numbers. So that's one thing I noticed. One thing I also noticed different between killer and survivors that was actually quite rough is the way that killer perks work and survivor perks work. With survivor perks, we actually had a massive advantage. My survivor teammate would unhook me, and the killer would leave me be because they think I have borrowed time. They would down me and leave me on the ground thinking I have decisive strike.
Yeah,
they
those perks too.
tried to play around perks
Yeah,
that we weren't
yeah.
even using. So that was a massive advantage from the survivor side. The killer doesn't have that advantage. You check for corrupt, you check for ruin, you check for undying, you don't get annoyed at the end if it gets to that, and that's it. You don't need to worry about perks. The survivors play just the same, the gens just as fast, whether you...
That is the thing for this game, is that, like, even for me, like, I respect Decisive Strike. I even play around Decisive Strike too sometimes, because I think they have it. You know, when you're in high MMR, you think they have Decisive Strike. Or Borrowed Time too. Like there's points where you know they have Borrowed Time. Because it's like, they're trying to body block while they're injured. Like, okay, that person has Borrowed Time, definitely. But when you down them, you think, like, does they have Decisive? Because if you're in a bad spot, you think, like, okay, I'm going to have to gamble this, maybe. I'm going to have to take the Decisive Strike, or pray that he doesn't, that they don't have it. And sometimes they won't, sometimes they will. And it can just make a big difference if they do have it, because 4 DSs, you get hit by all 4, that's, like, massive. That's, like, really massive for the survivors. Because that's 20 seconds lost. Because you get hit by 4 Decisive Strikes. Because Decisive lasts for it's a 5-second stun. So, it's you lose 20 seconds off Decisive Strike, and then you lose 15 seconds for Borrowed Time. Because borrowed time is 15 seconds. So you wait 15 seconds to maybe hit them down again. Or they find another loop, in which case you lost that 15 seconds and you have to keep chasing them again, you know? So like something like that. But yeah, and then the survivor side, obviously, you got Corrupt, Corrupt's gone. Ruin's gone. You break it, you know, that stuff. Said you respect when they don't even have it. Yeah, exactly. Like, that's exactly. And I respect too. Like, there's points where, I think earlier too, I was playing a killer match, and I thought someone had Decisive Strike, and no one on the team had Decisive Strike. So it just shows how much the survivor perks impact when you play killer, you know?
Have
Just,
perks
it just
or not.
shows it.
It doesn't really matter to them. They won't even try to play around them. So
Mhm.
on that regard, killer is a lot harder. But I think that the fact that even on your worst matches you can secure one kill is a bit of a factor on why these average kills is so high for killer, right? That being said, if you get one kill, that's not a win. So that alone doesn't explain why my win percentage here was 70%, and why my most common outcome is 4 kills. What explains that, in my opinion, is that survivors have a lot more chances to lose immediately. In many of these games, I remember one in particular, I played horribly, I get my ass kicked, I don't do anything right, and then one survivor makes a mistake, and then everyone dies because of it. Or I get 3 kills because of it.
That is true, actually. That's true. I've had a couple games like that too, actually, where I was doing so bad. Like, I think recently, I was playing so bad. Actually, yeah, earlier yesterday, I guess, because it's the next day now. But earlier yesterday, I was playing a Trapper match. I was losing really badly, and I managed to pull back. Like they had 1 gen or 2 gens almost done. Two gens almost done. And I was managing to get more hooks as the game kept going. So I was like, because they kept messing up and whatnot. But in the end, I think 2 got out at least. But it just shows like one mistake can really death the match, or can really hurt the survivor team. You know, just one slip up could really mess it all up. Because I was like at 3 hooks when I had 2 gens left, and I managed to get myself up to 8 hooks, 2 kills. So yeah, it can make a difference.
So I think the fragility of survivors, despite all of the second chance perks that exist in the game, is maybe one of the reasons why it's so easy sometimes to win, despite having relatively very little. So what are the conclusions to draw from this? In my very modest opinion, you tell me what you draw from this data. Number 1, I do think for sure that items make a massive difference, and this is a massive difference. Like think about it. I understand that if we're good survivors, we should escape often. Even if the MMR is trying to work, I understand that if you're such a good player with 1,000,000 hours, you should be winning often. But to win 84% of the time without even perk, I think that's nuts. I just like, we had games where the killer plays perfectly, they down a person in 20 seconds and 3 gens pop. It's just not even funny. So please nerf the items. I think this proves that they're busted. That's one conclusion. Another conclusion, I don't really like to say this, but hey, you don't need perks to do well on either side, apparently. You don't even need perks on either side. And
no, you
that's
don't.
Because the MMR, even though it's working better than the rank system, is not really pushing you to a 50-50 win rate. It doesn't work well enough so that if you win a bit, you suddenly go against survivors or killers that are so insane that you're gonna lose super often, bringing your win percentage back to 50. And beyond that, other than some of the little conclusions that I've been spreading out throughout the video, I would really like to know what your thoughts are, and whether you think this is an item issue or a larger issue still that's going on in the background.
Interesting. Well, not a bad video odds. That's pretty good. I probably analyzed that pretty poorly, but I think the conclusion for me, what I would think is, here's something for me, is that items for me, like before how they are now, like if you think back before, they were really good, very strong back then. But now then, like, they're not as bad, in my opinion. Like, but maybe I should do what he did and just use items only or something with no perks. But then again, that'd be it'd probably be a difference with playing solo. But yeah, like items can make a big difference, but I think it's mainly the add-ons in my opinion. That's that. And I can also agree with the fact that yes, you can win pretty easily. Well, not pretty easily, but you can win a good amount without perks. Like I've done it before, even before MMR came out. Like I was doing it quite a bit, as like because you're doing the Grand Master, like True Talent's Grand Master Challenge, kind of made me try that, and I did. And I got on all of them. I still have yet to do a Pinhead. Wow, okay. I still have yet to do a Pinhead. Like he's the only one I haven't done it with yet. But yeah, it's just you don't need perks to win. You really don't. Even now, you still don't need perks. Like I even ran perks that don't have good gen, that don't even have any gen defense, and I still managed to pull out like a decent amount of hooks and maybe 3 kills at least, or 2 kills at least, you know. So it's nothing really that crazy, you know. Like yeah, that's my take on it. Anyway, but good video odds, I will admit. That's a really good video, man. You analyze a lot of good stuff. I probably my thoughts, well, at least me talking through some of it was probably not the greatest because I'm not that good at this, but hey, I did try my best at it. But yeah, that's my overall thoughts on it.